Welcome back to Scooter Rescue, as we're calling it, with our Roughhouse 50 here, our unloved scooter that I picked up for just a couple $100 on Facebook. In our last video, we changed our gear oil, we cleaned out our reed valves, we also drained our two-stroke oil. So I went ahead, I replaced our two-stroke oil with some fresh stuff that I know is intended for an oil injection system. We also got really fortunate on Facebook, and we found somebody who had a full stock of spare parts for the Buddy 50s. He was kind enough to put together a nice order for me at a very reasonable cost. We received an air filter, a brand new carburetor, a spare number 40 slow idle jet. We received brand new factory turn signals, a brand new factory rear brake lever. He was also kind enough to include a new fuel petcock so that we can bolt onto the bottom of our tank. Along with that, he also included fuel hosing and a brand new, genuine branded fuel filter. So with those things, we've got really the makings of having a great running scooter here. In this video, we're going to focus primarily, I think, on getting that new carburetor in, getting the fresh air filter installed in it, and then seeing if we can get this thing to run and idle a little bit better. Now, it's still pretty cold here in Tennessee, but the garage is sitting at about 60 degrees, so we should be able to tear into this. Brand new air filter, right from Genuine. Freshly rebuilt factory carburetor. New jets, new seals. It's got our electronic choke. Everything is ready to go. We're just going to slap this in and we should be off to the races. So let's go ahead, dive into things, and see if we can't get our scooter running by the end of this one. Alright, we got our carburetor installed, we got our air filter and air box bolted in place. Now is the moment of truth. Does it run, or am I going to have to sit here and mess with it for another few hours? I don't know. Got our key, and I will tell you, I've noticed our brake light is on permanently. So I believe that our brake light switch up here, along with a very crusty master cylinder, is just all jammed up, and so our brake light is on constantly. We'll address that if we can get this thing running, so let's find out. Okay. Well, that's pretty outstanding. I'm going to need to dial in the idle a little bit, which is just a little thumb screw on the side of the carburetor. It kept wanting to die, so we just kept blipping the throttle a little bit. But beyond that, we got running. It's not stuttering and dying like it was before. So I think having that new carburetor in is really going to make a big difference. I mean, it certainly has. Smells like two-stroke in the garage now, but we go and runs. It seems to spin up pretty well. So I think the next step is going to be to bolt this whole thing back together and at least get ourselves some semblance of a seat back on the scooter. Once that's bolted on, we'll start taking a look up front. We've got brakes, brake lever, we've got turn signals in the rear. We're going to have to deal with this whole front hub assembly. And I think we're probably going to need to, at the very least, adjust our throttle cable here. If not, maybe just replace the throttle cable as a whole. There's a lot of slack in that before we really grab anything. That's not too difficult. Undo it here, feed it through, put a new throttle cable in. For now, if I just have to whack it wide open to get going, that's pretty much how I ride my scooters anyway. So let's go ahead, we'll put you up in the corner, and we'll bolt the body back on. So we've got our seats, our side panels, our rear cage. We're going to put our rear fender back in place down here. And with that done, I think we'll probably go for some low-hanging fruit and throw a new rear brake lever on it today. All right, with our body panels reassembled, we've got our scooter all put back together, looking like something we can actually ride. So now it's time to start focusing our way forward into the braking system, and then overall into the cosmetics of the scooter. Before we end off this video, we're just going to go ahead, we're going to replace what used to be our brake lever here with our new one that we purchased. So pop the screw off, put the new cable in. We're probably going to have to do brake pads in the front and brake shoes in the rear, but that's okay. I just want to be able to squeeze that and stop this as I start to tune this carburetor a little bit. So let's dive into that one, and we'll come back and kind of figure out what's next. Okay, just like that, we've managed to get our brake lever replaced. Full body's back together. Last thing I'm going to do is just grab a little bit of my electronic connection cleaner. And I want to spray it up in here and just see if I can't get this brake switch up here to clean out. So, just a little contact cleaner, a rag, and we're just going to sort of see if we can't get something in there, free this up a little bit. It does look like the plunger on that brake switch is moving better than it was before. So it might have just been gunked up from that. There is still some fluid in the brake master cylinder. So I'm curious to see if this means the wheel's gonna roll free as well. But just spraying that in there, if I turn the key on, well, we don't get a tail light. So the question is, hey, we get a brake light when we squeeze that. Hopefully you can kind of see it on camera here. So we get a brake light when we squeeze our front brake lever. Let's go check the other side. And over here on our rear brake lever that we just replaced, we squeeze that and we get a rear brake light. So we're going to add to the list, we're going to have to replace at least the bulb in our rear tail lamp. We see that we've got this light on, we've got our turn signals on, so rear tail lamp bulb. We're still going to need to bleed this master cylinder out. It is crusty and gross. But let's go ahead. I'm going to take this tie-down strap off, and we're going to see if our wheel rotates freely. So, we'll pop down. We're going to go ahead, undo our tie-down strap, pull that all the way through the scooter. It's a lightweight scooter, so I'm going to lift it up with one arm, and we're going to, that is a tough front wheel to spin. As I rotate it, it seems to free up a little bit, but I'm going to say this is still pretty stuck, and we've got some zip ties here that might have been holding our reflector in place. We'll have to look for some pictures on the internet. We've got some zip ties that have clearly been wearing a groove in our front tire. Now, we already knew we were going to need new tires, but maybe we need those a bit sooner than I was hoping for. We'll replace the tires when we get to the wheels. But with this accomplished, we've got brake levers that at least squeeze and seem to slow down the wheels. Our front wheel is still dragging a bunch, so we're going to have to take care of that. I think bleeding the master cylinder out, maybe replacing the brake pads is going to be a good trick there. Our rear wheel, that spins free, and if I squeeze the brake lever, it stops. Both of our levers ignite our brake light. So we're going to come back next time, and we're going to work on the front braking system. Bleeding out the brakes, cleaning the crust out of off of our master cylinder. Hopefully it's not too bad. Once we've got the brakes accomplished there, we're going to start doing bulbs. So that's going to mean full rear turn signals, rear tail light, make sure that our headlight's working. We're really on our way to having a pretty great scooter, other than a couple of things. So we'll come back in the next video. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this series. Right now, I think all told, I'm into it, $150 in parts. That's for a brand new carburetor, brand new brake lever, brand new factory genuine turn signals. What else do we get? Brand new genuine air filter. So you could get some parts. You could go universal turn signals back here. You don't need to get the genuine ones specifically. I happen to have access to them. You could probably get a cheaper brake lever. You could probably just rebuild the carb and buy some new jets. You might not be even $100 into what we're at now. You might be okay with having some ratty plastics or some dirty parts. So for now, we're at $650 into a scooter that has a title, that starts and idles, seems to rev up pretty clean. We should be all set pretty soon. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.